Welcome back to the Motorcyclist podcast. This is where we talk about motorcycles and what makes them great. Topics on this show constantly change, but the one thing that always remained is two-wheeled fun. In this episode, we are going to talk about the Harley-Davidson Street Glide and Road Glide. But before we do that, let's do some introductions. We've got editor Adam Wahid. We've got photo editor Jeffrey Allen, and you got myself, executive editor Justin Dawes. So in this episode, we are going to talk about two of Harley's Grand American touring baggers, Street Glide and the Road Glide. They are two of the most popular Harley-Davidsons on the market right now. They're super hot. Everyone is, they're just super popular. So we're going to talk about why are they so popular? Why are they so good? And then we're going to have a little discussion on which is better, the Street Glide or the Road Glide, because they're very similar in a lot of ways, but there are some notable differences. So first, I guess we should get into what is a Street Glide and what is a Road Glide.
Well, the Street Glide has the sort of, I call it the cop fairing, but they call it the bat wing. It has the fairing like the old cop bikes of the 50s or whatever, and that's the Street Glide, and the fairing moves with when you move the handlebars. And then the Road Glide is what's it called, the shark nose. Yeah, shark nose, and that stays. It's mounted directly to the frame. The handlebars move and the fairing stays.
Yep. But they're essentially they're both touring bikes that have been stripped down a little bit, right? So Harley has a full line of touring bikes that have fairings and bags and top bags, and these bikes are a little bit more smoothed out. We'll say the top case is gone, and it's kind of a stripped down tour, and we call them baggers.
Maybe a weekend tour.
Yeah, weekend tour. I mean, I think you could go a long way on a glide, anyways. You just have to pack more efficiently, right?
Which we all ought to do anyways.
Yeah. So they're both FL models, which means a big twin tour. And Jeff already hit it. Street Glide, fork mounted fairing, Road Glide, frame mounted fairing. At the moment, both are powered by Milwaukee 8 big twin engines. They share very much the same chassis. They're just, there's all these variants now that are coming out on these bikes, thanks to actually racing, which is pretty interesting.
Crazy.
How crazy is that? Harley, I guess they originally were a racing company, but
back to it now. And King of the Baggers is a racing series where they race baggers. So it's Indian versus Harley-Davidson, the battle of the two great American motorcycle manufacturers. And from that, there have been models coming out that have more power, better suspension, better brakes, because let's face it, like for a long time, they were cruisers and they did the cruiser touring job, which was, they didn't need to have super high performance brakes. They didn't need to have high end suspension, and they just needed to be comfortable, have a good torquey engine, and have a loud stereo, maybe.
Yeah. Right? Well, it was a great sightseeing machine,
Absolutely. Yeah. So, that's basically what they are. So you've got some newer models that are powered by a version of the Milwaukee 8 that has variable valve timing now. And then you've got two performance baggers now, both Road Glides, the ST, which kind of is a milder take, but still a very high-end Road Glide that has like carbon fiber and Öhlins suspension on the rear. And now you've got the RR, which is $110,000 race replica.
I want one of those things.
Yeah.
Collector's item.
Yeah. We're talking, billet case halves or side case halves and carbon fiber everything, and just crazy looking machine.
If I win the lottery this weekend, the next time you'll see me, I'll be on one of those.
It'll be that meme. I won't tell you I won the lottery, but there'll be signs.
It'll be me on the RR. Yeah.
Yeah. So how about as we kind of always do, let's do a quick history of these bikes, because they've been around for a while.
Yeah, you're right. A while. The Street Glide was introduced in 1985.
Yep.
And it was that.
One sec before we go on with that. There are some people that say the first Street Glide is actually 2006. So there's it's semantics a little bit.
Do those people work for Harley-Davidson?
They do not. They do not. But so go ahead, put your comments down below. Let's hear your history of the Street Glide, because there's going to be people that are like, nope, absolutely not. That was a not a Street Glide. That was a different glide that they called the Street Glide because it was optioned in this way or whatever. But we're going to go with.
Would they say it was the electric glide?
Yeah, they would say it's electric glide that they got stripped down. But we're going to go with 85.
Yeah,
the FLHX would be the model, right? Yeah.
No, is it? I thought it was the FLTR.
No, that FLTR is the road glide.
Okay. All right. There you go. So I'm corrected. I stand corrected. But yeah, it was in 85, and it had the Evo motor, which the Evo motor was my first experience with Harley-Davidson. That's my experience doesn't go back any farther than that.
Well, I mean, 85. That's 40 years ago, dude.
I know, but. When you say the Evo, people are like, "Oh, new guy."
Yeah. Newfangled. I want some old school Harley. Yeah.
But that's the motor again. That was like post AFM years, so that's the motor that widely regarded as saving that company, saving the motor company.
Yeah.
But in the Batwing, like I said, it was like from like the early or from what I call the cop bike, but it was that came around like in the late 60s, I want to say.
65.
Yeah.
So it was invented by or designed, I should say, by because fairings have been around a long time, so he didn't invent a fairing. Guy named Dean Wixom designed that fairing, made a deal with Harley to make it as like a bolt-on accessory in 65, 66, 67, something like that. And then it became a standard part on the 71 Electric Glide. So, I mean, we're talking 60 years of Batwing fairing.
Yeah, here. I really like that styling.
Yeah, I do too. It's iconic. Like, just looks so good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, I like being on those bikes in general, just because it's a chance to relax on a motorcycle. Sometimes Wahid is like grip it and rip it. Sometimes I try to keep up with them, but if you get on a bagger, it's a much different intention.
Most of the time, yeah, very much so.
Most of the time.
Yep. So
the cruisers are made to cruise.
Yeah,
exactly. Cruisers are made to cruise. So I guess we should touch on all the different eras of the Street Glide, and then we'll just get into the Road Glide after that. But so 85 was the Evo engine. 2006, which a lot of people are claiming is the first Street Glide, was the twin cam 96 cubic inch twin cam, and then in 2017 got a redo again. And that was the first Milwaukee 8 power plant. And then in 2023 was the CVOs, which the design language was the most modernized design language of Street Glide and Road Glide. They got LED lights and all that stuff, but they also got an updated Milwaukee 8 that's a 121 with variable valve timing, which was a first for Harley. So
yeah, those bikes in 2023, the CVOs, they also got the Showa suspension front and rear, and Brembo brakes.
Yeah, and Brembo brakes. So
yeah,
big upgrade. And then 2024 came 117 glides as well that are non-CVO. So lots of changes. What about the road glide? Let's get some quick history on the road glide.
So the road glide came out just slightly after our official launch of the street glide. We said 85, and the road glide came along in 88 with the with that shark nose fairing.
Yep, and that shark nose fairing was originally on the tour glide. So shark nose fairing those days, like it's definitely slimmed down in the headlight profile, but you've got twin front headlights, so two headlights instead of the single in the Batwing. It's fairing mount or frame mounted, so it's a bit more substantial in width.
I don't know if it's technically wider, but yeah, it's definitely a bigger
looks
fairing.
Like it.
Yeah. It's definitely a bigger. I would say it looks a bit more aerodynamic than a Batwing, right?
Yeah, makes a nice pocket behind it,
for sure,
to avoid the wind turbulence.
Yeah, so that's a super truncated quick history of those two glides that we're doing here. This, we could be here discussing the nuances of glides and road glides, and each year we could be here for 4 hours. It would be a college course we could do on them. So we're gonna just say 88 was the first road glide, and then it kind of followed along with the street glide in terms of updates with the twin cam and the M8 and the 121 VVT, all kind of in line with each other, running in parallel the whole time, because they're very similar bikes for the most part. Like it's two iterations of a very successful recipe. It's like, do you like your cookies with chocolate chips, or do you like them with walnuts?
Yeah, chocolate chips. Since you're asking.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I think most people choose that one or the other just based on appearance and, possibly a slightly better wind pocket behind the
and I guess before we get into, I want to talk about why they're so popular and all that stuff, but let's get into that, because that is maybe the most we'll say what people think about the two fairings, and maybe some of it's true, some of it's not. One is maybe better in certain situations than the other, because one is fork mounted and one's frame mounted, right? So the fork mounted one, there's a big aerodynamic wall there, right, that is attached to your steering. So some people say that crosswinds and things can affect a Batwing fairing more than a shark nose. So I don't know what your guys' personal opinions are on it. For me, I think both bikes are ridiculously stable, and I've never had a issue with either in terms of stability. So
yeah, nor have I. I like them both as well. It's kind of a styling thing, whichever really what other you prefer aesthetically, and they both look cool too. Just kind of depends what look you're going after, really. People debate till they're blue in their face about which one is better for whatever reasons, but it's just all comes down to personal preference.
Yeah. I've not had any issues like you were saying with that, Dawes. The only thing is, I do prefer the street glide fairing for appearance, but also like when you're at low speed, when you're on the road glide, like parking lot speeds, you go to turn, my brain expects to see that fairing move.
And because it is big in front of you. So I can. But I mean, okay, you have that argument, but what about a Goldwing?
Yeah, what about it? I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say though that there's got to be a reason that Harley races the road glide and not the street glide. There's got to be some aerodynamic advantage, whether that's stability or just better aerodynamics. I can't say, but they do choose to race the shark nose rather than the Batwing.
Could it just be marketing?
And it could be marketing. It could be
Yeah.
it could be total. You know, I don't think it. I think it could be a full-on combination of all those things. But I mean, if you're going racing, you race to win. You pick the best platform for racing. So
it's probably a marketing thing more than anything, because realistically, when you look at those bikes two side by side, you know, the Road Glide does look more sporty. It just does. You know, so I mean, it would be a natural fit to. It's not like it's like radically more sporty, but it
does look more sporty.
A little bit more, you know, aggressive.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
what a crazy idea it is to race those things. You know what I mean? Like if whoever was sitting around the bar with a couple of beers and thought we should race baggers, probably thought initially they were probably kidding. But
for sure.
And it's become so popular.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's I call it the Roland Sands effect. Like racing things that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Turn into cool racing.
The hooligan racing.
Hooligan, you know, that kind of stuff. Like it you race things that don't make sense, and it actually makes for good racing because it's wild and it's weird and it's a spectacle.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing it actually turn into like Kevin Cameron always kind of equates bagger racing to superbike racing in the late 70s, early 80s. Like there's technological advancement coming from racing into those models now so that they can have better bikes to race. Yeah.
And it's even the bagger racing has even grabbed the attention of MotoGP. They did a test last year. They're considering adding a bagger race to some weekends.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
So wild. But it's cool. I mean, like, you know, this year, 87 miles an hour on the banking at Daytona with a bagger.
It's crazy.
It's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, they're turning I think it was Wyman that he would have been in the top 5 in the 200 qualifying times with the bagger. Like that's how fast they are.
Oh, a current 200. A current 200. Daytona 200. Oh, I was wondering like when 187 would have been.
Yeah, you know. No, but lap time he was fast enough. I think it was top 5 or top 10. It was like insane how far up the grid he would have been with that time on a bagger compared to a full on super sport.
How humbling would that be? It'd be on your sport bike and the bagger goes past you.
Oh, geez,
Louise.
Yeah, I could. It would happen to me. I know that for a fact.
It would happen to me too.
Smoked. So
it happens to me all the time.
Yeah. So, super rad. So let's talk about why they're so popular. Who's got thoughts on popularity? Reasons why?
I can tell you why.
Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
I can tell you why I like it. I like it for the reason I mentioned earlier about just slowing down and enjoying motorcycles in a different way. Like the sightseeing part of it. Generally, it's nice to have a passenger, you know, like I love it for a weekend. That would be my choice for just like a Sunday ride, go get some lunch with a date.
But when you say, the funny part is when you say another way, because in the reality, that's the normal way, because there's more Harley-Davidson sold in the United States than any other motorcycle. Cruising is actually the normal way of riding a motorcycle in the United States.
The most popular, the
most popular way. So,
and as it should be, you know, it's
yeah, no, it's cool. What about you, Heed? Why do you think that these two models in particular are so popular?
Well, yeah, just like Jeff said, I mean, they're really passenger friendly, so you can bring someone along for the ride, which is an important thing to do. And they just look cool. They sound cool. They have that nostalgic, you know, potato V-twin sound and character. You know, nowadays they've modernized them, so they have a modern twist, but they haven't lost their ethos to that type of powertrain, which is really cool. You know, so they look cool. They sound cool. They ride like a dream. You know, they just ride down the highway just so nicely. And, you know, like Jeff said, you get to look around and like see stuff where sometimes, we all like going fast and riding our bikes, and sometimes you're focused more on like what's coming up in front of me because you're kind of operating, with speed. But with these cruisers, you can just chill. It's totally fine to set the cruise control at 65 and chill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How many times have you been on some fun twisty back road on a bagger, and you look around and you're like, I've been on this road dozens of times, if not hundreds. I never noticed that over there. Like you get a chance to take in your surroundings for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they still have good handling in those corners.
They really
especially
do.
nowadays.
They really do.
Yeah.
They really do have excellent handling.
The current ones for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. They are. That's what I think is one of the reasons they're so popular, and one of the reasons they're so good, I should say, is that Harley-Davidson, they do the work, right? Like everyone looks at it and goes, oh, like it's this old school motorcycle. No, it's not. It looks old school. They hide all the technology. They hide the work they do, in a way that they're built so well, but they hide that it's built so well. If that makes sense. Like they don't put the technology up front. They don't say like we're an engineering company. We're, you know what I mean? They're selling you a lifestyle and a product for your life and for your hobbies, but they're not pointing at a spec sheet the whole time. They're pointing at like, look at the like what you can do with it and how comfortable it is and how this feels, and the way like that's the other thing. If you sit on a Harley-Davidson and you grab the handlebars and you touch the brakes and you just place your hands, you could blindfold me and put me on a glide and put my hands on the bike, and I would know I was on a glide. Yeah, absolutely. Take me off, put me on a BMW bagger or an Indian bagger, and I would go, nope, not a glide. Like there's just something about it that there's a consistency while continuing to elevate the motorcycle.
Yeah, they're one of those unique brands where you could sit on it like that, or you could take all of the badges off of it. It's like a Porsche or a Mercedes. You take all the badges off, and from a distance, you know exactly what it is. Mm-hmm. Like you would never mistake a Porsche for anything else, and it's the same for the most part. I mean, there have been some copycats of Harley-Davidson, but you look at it and you know what it is.
Yeah, very much so. And I mean, it's the chicken or the egg argument in terms of cruisers and baggers. Like, is someone copying somebody else, or is it just that's the way that they evolve in the shape and they have to be that shape and all that? But still, like you said, like Harley-Davidson, it even if it didn't have the badges on it. And it can come down from the shape, but it can also come down to like the fit and finish. Like you look at the chrome on a Harley-Davidson, and it's better. Like chrome on a Harley-Davidson's really good. Paint finishes are usually pretty good. Switch gear, pretty solid. Like it's just, you know what I mean? Like you could look at bits of the bike. They could hand you a part that's covered in chrome and say what company manufactured this. And I think that if it was a piece of chrome, I would be like, that's Harley-Davidson chrome.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's to their credit, like being able to just recognize their product regardless. Even if you're not a motorcyclist, most people could spot a Harley.
Yes, very much so. I mean, that's the other thing. You ask children to draw a motorcycle, they're usually going to draw some variation of a Harley-Davidson. It might not be a glide, but it's going to be a cruiser most of the time. It's just, close your eyes and think about a motorcycle. And for Americans, a lot of them first thing that pops in their head is a Harley-Davidson, So, they're just good, well-engineered bikes that, they have a presence to them, but they're also unassuming because they're not flaunting all the tech all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's been working for 120 years. So.
Yeah. I mean, let's get into that though, real quick. It's been working for 120 years, except that people have said they're going out of business for 119 years.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I had a business that struggled for 120 years,
Yeah. I mean, let's be clear, 2024 financial revenue was down, but bike sales across the board have gone down. So,
they're not unique in that.
They're not unique in that problem, but they are a publicly traded company. Their financials are out there for everyone to see, which adds to a bit of scrutiny and a bit of which it should be, because if you're a shareholder, of course you care if the stock is down or if it's up, and so there's that. But there's also people that always think the sky is falling for Harley-Davidson, and like we said, revenue in 2024 was $5.2 billion, $5.19 billion. Now that's down 11%, that's a big number.
That's significant. Right? Yeah.
It's a significant number, but it's still $5.2 billion. That's not a failing company. And you can't have positive years, year after year after year after year. Now, if you see a decline for 15 years, or you see a sharp downward spike, that's different than a slide. I think slides come and go. If I'm holding Harley-Davidson stock, I'm just going to hold it. I'm not going to sell it because it's going to go back up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a long play. It's a long running company. I'm no financial expert. Don't take this as as advice in any way, shape, or form. But
there've been plenty of other big companies that have had tough years too. Even Apple was on the brink at one point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, GM, they filed bankruptcy in whatever that was, 2009, right? So big American companies can fail, and Harley-Davidson is not immune to that. But I think it's not as dire as most people want to believe. I think people just root against the big guy no matter what, which is okay. That's totally fine.
Some of that. Yeah.
There's always some of that. You want to see the champion fail at some point, and okay, cool, down with that. I understand that completely. But this company,
that's kind of our way here, in the States. Like we tend to root against the champion, and then we also love a comeback. We love a good comeback.
Sure. And so I'm rooting for Harley-Davidson to come back. I mean, there are some other interesting issues going on now with Harley, with the president Seitz leaving, retiring, and there's some battling in the board, and one of the larger stakeholders is pushing against Seitz and some other board members, and they've got a campaign that they put out, a campaign put out saying for shareholders to vote to withhold those board members' reelections because they don't agree with how it's been run and the results. And hey, that's what shareholders do, and that's totally cool. But I don't think it's as dire as most people think, and I think Harley-Davidson is very far from going under, as some people will say.
Yeah, the naysayers.
But it's also good for the naysayers to keep them honest and make them think, right? If you own shares and you're not happy with where they are now, totally understand that as well. So, okay, that's our quick talk on the topic of financials of Harley-Davidson.
Yeah, we got a little off.
We got a little in the weeds, but that's okay. Because people would call us out if we didn't talk about it in this episode. So, yeah. What about, okay, so let's just get to straight glide or road glide. Which one are you? Adam, which one are you?
I certainly like both those bikes, and I think there's a time and a place for either, depending on what region of the country you're riding and who you're riding with. But personally, I like the road glides. I just like them. I think they look a little bit more sporty. The new 2023, 2024 version is just awesome. I love the new design they did. Maybe the Harley-Davidson purists don't like it, but I sure do. And yeah, I would definitely go with the road glide, but street glides are awesome too. Mm-hmm. What about you guys?
Well, in 2023, when they introduced the new road glide and street glide with the CVO, we talked about with the Showa and the Brembo bikes. I had a chance to ride those bikes, in like one of like the dream rides. Like we rode on PCH up near like Big Sur and Carmel and all that. And of course, performance wise they were about the same, but love the bikes. And I'm more of a street glide. As far as styling goes, I'm more likely to pick the street glide, even though that new fairing, I don't love that new more angular street glide fairing. I love the
interesting.
So I like the updated bike. To your point earlier, Dawes, about the bikes get updated, but I'm more of a traditionalist with the styling.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Jeff on the styling. The new styling is growing on me. I think the real issue I have with the styling is the long light bar, the daylight running light. It's too modern for me. I think I like the shape, I just think the addition of an extra long light bar running light thing, it kind of makes it too modern. But I like the shape, and all the updates are insane on that bike. They're so much better. They're so good. So, but I'm a glide guy. I'm all about the glide. I think I agree with Adam. It looks sportier. It has more of a presence. It looks a little bit more muscular, and maybe it's a little less traditional. So it's kind of like in the middle. Like I feel like that's like a middle ground of like traditional but very sporty at the same time mix. So I'm a glide person, or a road glide person as well.
Road glide, okay.
Yep.
They're both awesome, glide, though.
They're both totally awesome. But if I was going to be walking into Harley-Davidson and signing my name on a dotted line, it's absolutely going to be a road glide. And it'll be an RR. I'm going to buy your RR, Jeff, before you get to it.
Sweet. When can I expect delivery?
No, I'm going to buy it for myself.
Oh, I thought you were buying it for me.
There's only 131 of them, so I'm going to get one before you get your hands on one.
Yeah. I would say
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I would say that one of my favorite street glides I ever rode, we had that Fast Johnny with the
135.
With the 135 crate motor in it. Holy smokes, that thing was so fun. Like, for anybody watching this, Google that. That thing is awesome.
Yep.
Another thing too with the street glide versus road glide, another thing that really comes into the factor of which one you'd select, honestly, is the colorway, the paint job. Because you'll have street glides that come in certain colorways that will stand out and pop, unlike the road glide. But then there'll also be road glides in certain colorways that stand out and pop, different than the street glide. So
yeah,
it depends glide, on the color.
Yeah, a road glide bodywork works better with some sort of graphical design, right? With like a two-tone or a swoop or something like that works really well with a road glide. Where a street glide, a solid color looks great.
Totally.
And excellent, well finished, solid color.
And I've seen some street glides with some form of like glitter, almost glitter to them, and that solid paint with the little bit of glitter. Oh my God, those street glides look just awesome in that configuration.
Yep. Exactly. Yep. Well, cool. What's the future look like in our opinion, for glides? What's going to be the next glide? I mean, they're up in the bar in terms of performance and stuff. So what do you guys see for the next glide? What do you want to see in those things?
Well, I would say in the typical Harley-Davidson way, it'll be incremental, like small improvements, small changes. And that's actually kind of the way I like to see it.
Yep. I agree. I think that there's some other additions that may come fairly soon. Radar Cruise is getting big, and it's a cruiser, it's a tourer. I can see Radar Cruise being put on the bikes pretty soon. All the rider aids are there now. Like they've got, they've added rider aids to it. So there's nowhere to go with that. I don't know, man. Who knows? Maybe maybe an RRR, a triple R.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we're going to wrap it up. Overall takeaway, both the Road Glide and the Street Glide are awesome. They got comfort, they got style, they got power. They're a bestseller for Harley-Davidson for a reason. It's because they're awesome. And they're just so good. They don't fall down in any sort of way when you're riding them. And they're always surprising. Like, we'll get off of other bikes and get back on a glide and go, oh, this is nice. This is cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you never are unhappy riding a glide. So
totally. And other manufacturers try to make their equivalent of that vehicle, and it's never the same.
Yeah. No, it just doesn't have quite the same thing that a glide does. There's great other American baggers that do other things maybe better, but there's just, the recipe is just a little bit different, and no one can match Harley-Davidson in that space. And it's because they've been doing it for so long. So anyways, thanks for listening. We appreciate your support. Put your comments down below. Let us know if you're a Street Glide or a Road Glide rider. Let us know if you think what the timeline you know or have learned about Harley-Davidson on the Street Glide. If it's 85, if it's 2006, you know, any comments and interaction is greatly appreciated. Let us know what you want us to talk about in future episodes. Give us some ideas. What do you want us to talk about? And like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.